I'm back with 10 more Midjourney styles that you can add to the end of your prompt separated by a comma to get some images just like these. The first one is Celtic Vine 3D art, which adds like a bit of a 3D look with a Celtic sort of like interweaving vine style effect. So with Pikachu, it's created this nice framed image with like a Celtic frame around him and he's just placed in the middle. Similar thing for Goku, except instead of a square frame, we've got more of a circular frame and it's got more of a stone kind of look to it. And Darth Maul, it's changed a little bit about Darth Maul, added the Celtic frame around it, but you can start to see a pattern here in how these images look. I move on to Mickey Mouse and we get more of a Celtic look with the little bits of plant life around it and a little bit of like it's attempted to do some Celtic designs on his pants and ears, which is interesting. And Deadpool, so he's got more of a Celtic frame on him as well. So now not every image turned out like this, but most of them did. As you can see here with the samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, he is just a normal image except with like a Celtic sort of like structure around him, like with the way the vines are weaving like a Celtic design, except it's not strictly as design perfect as if someone were to draw up a Celtic frame. But the Incredible Hulk, he's somewhere in the middle. He has that frame around him in 3D, a bit more truer to the Celtic look. Looks like a statue you'd have on your desk. And Style 2 is in the style of Alex Grey, which has a really cool, trippy effect on the artwork. With the woman's face, we've got all these lines on her face, and the colors are very interesting. We move on to Goku, and we've got more vibrant colors, more of that weird sort of line effect interwoven into his hair and to the various elements on him. And Mickey Mouse, this looks straight up trippy. The eyes are really in your face, the patterns. This image really grabs your attention. And Darth Vader looks similar in design, but a little less attention grabby, more calm and more of just a really cool, colorful, artistic image. And the futuristic car, it's applied that kind of design to the car, but due to kind of like the surface and the reflections, it gets a little bit lost, but still makes for an interesting image. And the Incredible Hulk, I love the effect of this with the line work. It looks almost like a combination between something that looks a little bit horrible, but the bright colors kind of make it real fun and exciting and really vibrant. And the Terminator, I love the left and right look, the way the left is very plain, the right, a lot of detail, a lot of circuitry showing. It's really done a good job of combining two separate styles in the Terminator and the Alex Grey style. And a samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, the clouds, the mountains, the way it's drawn, overall just looks really cool. Suminagashi marbling ink ripples. I love this effect, and you can see right here it applies it in a fun way. This was the most unique one with Batman. Almost looks like it has an Enzo circle around it or a Zen circle, but like in water. I thought this was really cool. But the Incredible Hulk, he's sort of part of the design, almost like he's interdimensionally rippling apart like a marbling sort of ripple. Like just that effect woven into the image really makes this one a bit more unique. And this one is the Terminator. It didn't try to create the Terminator at all, just kind of relied on the colors and focused more on the Suminagashi pattern. And Darth Maul, we get a picture of Darth Maul with that same pattern in the background, looking pretty cool, keeping true to his color scheme. And the woman's face, the way it has the face sort of blending off into that pattern is a nice sort of artistic touch. And the samurai sitting in front of Mount Fuji, same as before, we've got that style applied to the sky. Not so much to the elements, but it has kept the colors very reminiscent to that sky area, so it kind of all mixes together nicely. And the futuristic home, it has created certain elements like the floor and the counter using that pattern, which is a bit of a different use of this particular style. And finally, Goku, again, it's just looked at some of the colors and created that design, which I think is really cool sometimes to see how it interprets one subject into a style without including the subject itself. A nice, interesting sort of method. And a vintage royal painted portrait style with a fancy frame. This one's a bit of fun. As you can see with Superman, he looks painted, looks very important, up on the wall, a classic frame. Same with Darth Vader, although as usual, bringing his enthusiasm to these images with his cape. He's got a fancy cape on because he really wants to look his best for this particular portrait. And Batman had forgot to shave for the portrait, but he decided just to go ahead anyway and get nice and broody in this picture. And Pikachu, he has dressed his Sunday best, really looks as fancy and important as possible, chest puffing out. He loves the fact that he's getting himself painted. And Optimus Prime, it looks very old and very decrepit, but it doesn't even really look like Optimus Prime apart from, like the top part of the helmet, the ears and that. But overall, just a really interesting sort of use of this phrase. And Deadpool, just calmly standing there, getting his picture sort of taken, popped into a frame. And Barbie, we've got more of an old-fashioned style frame. She looks like the Queen of England a little bit here. So, although, rest in peace, the Queen of England, but you get what I'm saying. And the futuristic car looks like it is driving out of the frame. Now, not every one of the futuristic cars turned out this way, but this was the most interesting, so it's the one I shared. And Samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji just looks like a cool piece of artwork put into a very cool hand-carved frame. And the Terminator, he's put on his James Bond bow tie and suit to look his best. Forgot about the fact that he's gashing blood from his head and forgot to take off his sunglasses, but I guess that's to cover up what's going on with the eyes there. Now, if you haven't already, check out my Midjourney Style Pack. Over 1,000 styles you can apply to your Midjourney prompts to get some pretty stunning images. And dot art style on a black background. This was a very interesting look. As you can see, we get a drawing here, lots of dots. This one's probably the least dotty out of all of them, but still carried that effect well. And the way it uses white and yellow on the black, or white and orange on the black, looks really cool. You move to Pikachu, and he's a bit dotty, a little bit more half-tony in a way. Not quite half-tony, but you sort of get what I mean. The dots on the inside, the outside, makes for an interesting effect. And the Terminator, the way it uses the dots to change levels of light, you can see it all throughout. When you look at any area of this image, you can see it's almost entirely made up of dots. And Optimus Prime, a little bit more technological in its layout and use of lines, but the dots are still a heavy part of the design. And Darth Maul, this one looks really cool, has really very demonic look to it, and really, I think, does Darth Maul justice. And the way it uses the dots in the red, I think if you look really close to those details, this is a really cool image. And Deadpool, the dots are a bit bigger. This looks a little cheaper, a little more digital, but still pretty cool. The lines, kind of like the glitchy film line effect, is a nice touch as well. And the Incredible Hulk, much like the others, a good use of the dots to create a really dramatic looking image, dark shadows, strong highlights. And the Modern Family Home. I like the way it simplified this and turned it into more of a drawing, just like a dot-filled drawing. In the woman's face, you can see the dots around her. The way the dots are very clean in this image really got me. Even the lines with the hair, they have some sort of line work with dots in between. This is really, really neat sort of AI art generation. And the futuristic car is a little less neat, similar effect. Looks more like a 3D wireframe, but just kind of fuzzied up to give the appearance of dots. And a Sci-Fi hologram game card template. This one just created some cool images. I recommend having a play with it. Deadpool, he's just kind of standing in the card. A little less interesting, but still the use of the red light makes for a cool looking image, very sci-fi. But you move on to the woman's face, and it's framed up a bit better. The way the eyes are kind of glowing, and you've got some UI elements over the top, like the signals breaking up, is really just a cool sci-fi looking image. And the Incredible Hulk, he's actually in the card, popping out a little bit. Looks like a card from the future that is flat to hold, but 3D to look at. And Optimus Prime, I love the way they've sort of mixed up with the red sort of like chest plates where the windshield is, and that glow. He looks a little bit evil, but just the angle of him and the fact that he's framed up, it looks like something really fancy, something really cool. And Darth Maul, I love the look of this card. It almost looks like something you'd see in a movie where he's like a wanted criminal and they give him some kind of special holographic card so you can look at him to see what he looks like. And Barbie is dressed in some kind of space getup, massive blonde hair, the pink circuitry and card around her. I think Midjourney does a really good job of picking colors from characters and making it part of the image. And the futuristic car, this one I thought was a really nice touch. There was another image with a similar effect, but this one was the better of those two images. And it just created like this cool 3D retro effect, and it's just really nice overall. And Samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, I love the impact it's had here. The fact he's standing on those sort of like reflective tiles and has almost what looks like a hologram in front of him, it's kind of framed him up nicely. This is just a cool looking image, considering it takes a lot to change the samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji when it comes to applying styles. And as a ghost haunting. Now, this isn't as terrifying as you might think. It's just a really nifty effect. It's kind of like got a misty effect. Deadpool is white. Another one, he was wearing a white sheet, which I didn't put on here, but I love the effect it has. And whereas the Hulk, he doesn't look like a ghost, but that misty effect and the way that it's lit has a really interesting impact on the image and how he looks. And Darth Vader, he looks kind of misty, halfway between a misty ghost and trying to become the bride for a wedding. And you can see here the Terminator, very ghostly looking with the blue eyes, and just has a cold appearance. And the futuristic car. You can see here that the car has a ghostly look to it and just an overall cool image, and the mistiness kind of like coming off of it looks a little bit like smoke. And Batman, his cape is very ghost-like, and the way his feet fade out, looks like this is after he has already lost his life. And Goku, he actually looks like a ghost powering up in a very creepy kind of way. And the Modern Family Home, this I thought was super creepy, the way it had the person out the front and the really dark elements, really cool kind of spooky image. But to reflect opposite of that, we have Vibrant Rainbow Happiness Style, which adds a ton of color to your images and a real upbeat sort of feeling. Hulk is still looking angry as always, but very colorful and a really happy place. The Modern Family Home has a very rainbow decor to it. I love the way it's sort of like colored up that image. And the Terminator actually looks like he has a smile. So it's a smiling death machine sent back into the rainbow time to do something. I don't know if it's to kill John Connor or to let him know that he's doing a good job. And Batman, just looking broody with a rainbow background. And Darth Vader, very similar to other Darth Vader images where it just kind of added a bunch of colorful reflections to his armor. And Optimus Prime, I love the angle on this. It looks like Optimus Prime in a way, but just the rainbow colors just makes for an interesting image. And the woman's face, a really cool sort of art style applied to the face and just works really well with the lines and swirls on the skin. And the samurai sitting in front of Mount Fuji. I love the kind of sunburst effect it has behind Mount Fuji, but with the different colors and the way it's applied that into the scene as well. And the fact that the samurai is not bright and vibrant, I like that. It's like a nice contrast between him and what he's looking at. And David Bowie style. Now, these images are of David Bowie style, but it's a great example of how you can apply a style of a famous person to certain things. So we have Optimus Prime. He's got the helmet, it's kind of like blended David Bowie into Optimus Prime. And Deadpool. We got a little bit of a cross between Deadpool and David Bowie. Kind of creepy if you ask me. But Darth Maul, David Bowie playing Darth Maul was a really cool and interesting take. Got the red lightsaber, got the face tattoos, but that's obviously David Bowie. And Superman, it's just David Bowie dressed up as Superman. But the Hulk, I really love the fact that it does look like the Hulk from the MCU, but also has that David Bowie features that are added to it. Like if he really became the Hulk, is this what he would look like? And of course we have Goku, once again looking a little bit more like David Bowie, but with that anime style, true to Dragon Ball Z, very nice touch. And Mickey Mouse, super creepy David Bowie style Mickey Mouse. There were others that looked pretty cool, but I kind of just loved how creepy this one was, and I just thought that if I have to see it, you have to as well. And Creepypasta image style. We're getting towards some creepy stuff. I try to put it towards the end just in case you don't want to see it. But the Creepypasta is like a type of like horror image on the internet. You can see it just adds like a rough, dark kind of creepy vibe to this image of Goku. With Darth Vader, he looks kind of lifeless and terrifying. The eyes, very cool effect overall. And the Terminator, you can see here that he's just looking creepy. He always looks creepy, but there's something about this image that just looks a little extra creepy with the stare. And Barbie, she's looking at you, not very impressed, but also has that little head tilt that people tend to make in the movies right before they commit a murder. And Pikachu, I don't think I need to say anything about this one. Creepy as hell. And the woman's face, just a nice creepy overlay and color match. There's nothing particularly creepy about the actual subject itself, just the way that it's presented through colors and textures applied over the top. Pretty cool. And Mickey Mouse, that's just creepy, the way he glows, like there's a backlight behind him, like he's blocking the exit with those lifeless eyes and you've got nowhere to go. And Deadpool just kind of adds a few sort of messy, horror-y type things to the edging, but doesn't look particularly frightening at all. But thinking about this, I thought about Creepypasta and thought, what about Greasy Pasta? So I made it the bonus style for this week's video. So you can see with the futuristic car, it's made of pasta flowing all over it, coming out of the wheels. We move on to Batman. Just looks like a creepy little toy trying to eat a pile of pasta. Batman just looks creepy in this. And the Terminator, the skull, it's like pasta is the skin melting off the skull. It looks absolutely disgusting, and that's why I love it. And the Hulk, he is ready to eat his pasta. He's angry though. I think there's something missing, or maybe he just wants you to leave. And the woman's face, she's enjoying being covered in pasta a little too much. And Darth Vader, someone has dropped pasta on him, And he doesn't even look angry. He's just kind of very like surprised and wondering where this pasta came from. Very melty, like there's a lot of cheese in this pasta. And Barbie, again, enjoying laying in the pasta a little too much. Has a funny look on her face. Like literally looks like someone got a Barbie doll and just stuffed it into a bowl full of pasta. And Pikachu. He is made of pasta, as you can see, and he has a very wet pastery texture to his skin on his face and tail. Very nice sort of impact it's had on that image overall. But otherwise, those are the styles for this week, guys. Thank you for checking them out. I hope you have a play with some of these, have some fun, and otherwise, I'll see you next time. Have a great day.